My name is Walker Doucette, and I'll be going over the family impact on young teens. Also, the incredible impact that each family choice has on each teenager, whether that will be negative or positive. Um, the makeup of today's families is changing rapidly. We can see that in the 1960s, 73% of families had both their parents in their first marriage, and just 9 years ago in 2014, that number lowered to 46%. The ones that are affected by these are teenagers. When teenagers have to be raised by a single parent, when teenagers have parents who have other engagements and different families, we can see that they're the ones that are affected because they're the ones that are not getting the emotional and social support that we expect parents to give. We also see many teenagers are currently in the foster care system. That's because many families are neglecting teenagers for adoption and fostering because they're older and they're looked at as young adults when they are still kids. When we look at families by culture, we can see that unfortunately African American culture has this tendency for fathers to take on other responsibilities within their lives, which leave single mothers to be raising their children. We can see that less and less high school graduates are being produced in African American societies, and high school dropouts are becoming more and more prevalent, with less teenagers making the choice to go to college. A bad family results in a student who prioritizes other things over education. For the teachers, what does all that mean? What do those statistics mean? Well, it means that families are getting into greater and greater problems, which means that the teenagers are going to get into greater and greater problems. This is unfortunate because it's the teenagers that suffer the most from household issues. It's not the young kids, it's not as much as the adults, but it's really the teenagers because they're the ones that are being forgotten and neglected. Teenagers need parent and family support more than anybody. Teenagers are adolescents, they're young adults going through puberty, they're learning themselves, they're having huge peer influences. They're the ones that are learning the world as they're going to be growing up, and they're the ones that need the most guidance, really, as they're trying to take on themselves and take on their futures. And that's where the family comes in. They act as that emotional base, that stable support where the child is supposed to feel loved and accepted, right? In an ideal world, we'll have parents who are there for their children and help them have those feelings of being accepted and being wanted. But unfortunately, it's not an ideal world. And we have many teenagers that are at severe disadvantages because their parents have other priorities and obligations. What helps? Well, cognitive behavior therapy has been the most effective. That's where therapy is really targeted on behaviors and learning the emotional responses of those behaviors, and that really helps teenagers grow and develop. Counseling and regular therapy has been huge success too. How can you assist? Well, teachers have a huge influence on teenagers. For example, the first step they should be doing is cultivating their classroom and keeping it a safe and positive, welcoming environment, right? That's where teens are going to feel accepted and feel welcomed. Step two is when teachers are supposed to really get to know their students, get to build those emotional bonds, get to learn interests and build that connection. Because step three is when you're going to be the connector, you're going to refer your students to different resources that they may need. You're going to really be that middleman in reaching out for the students when they're not comfortable reaching out themselves. The bottom line is that teenagers are teenagers, but they're still kids. They still need support. They still need help. They still need those resources that the little ones need, right? We need to be doing mental health checkups at high schools. We need to not be afraid to talk about mental health. We need to work with CPS when we have those more extreme kids, those harder behaviors. Because when we see a crack in the system, it's our responsibility as teachers to help. it's our responsibility to get out there and do what we can. Use our skills, use our power for good. Thank you for listening. Here are the references that I found excellent resources on. The Pew Research Center has great resources. RaisingChildren.net and ReachOut.org. Thank you, and have a good day.